Welcome to the Mediumship Sisters podcast. Follow our evolution as we explore spirit, share stories, teachings, guests, and our soul's path. We are your hosts. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mediumship Sisters podcast. We are in season 6, and this is episode 9, and we have a special series that I've been thinking about. I know I've been talking about it with Mariana and Sierra for a while, to do a Mediumship Round Table style discussion where we're all going to come together. There's 6 of us today, and we're from different parts of the world, and we're coming together to kind of share our wisdom, our experiences, our knowledge of going through mediumship, some questions, discussions that we want to share with you all. So I'm going to welcome, of course, Mariana, currently
Hello.
California, moving back to BC, I think.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Sierra from Squamish, British Columbia.
Hello.
Paige, of course, from New Hampshire, USA. And then we have Sabina from Merida, Mexico.
Hello.
And we have Siobhan, and she is from Ireland. Welcome back, Siobhan.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone.
And Nicole, and she lives in Minnesota in the United States. Welcome, Nicole. So all of us together, we're going to just share discussions today, and I'm going to give the floor to Sabina. She's going to start our discussion. So take it away, Sabina.
Okay, thanks a lot, everyone. Welcome. And I was thinking at the beginning of my mediumship development, I had this thing where I could receive the message from spirit without being in a session. And this message was to be delivered to someone that I wasn't able to deliver the message. And so my question lies in if it's enough to receive the message, although you cannot give it to the correct person or the person that is being said to. And I tried my own way to honor the information that came through and like releasing it. Imagining that this could release the spirit need to communicate. And so my question is, whenever this happened to you, how did you deal with it? How could you honor the message that wasn't delivered to the right person? So Shabban, if you can tell me a little bit, how did you feel about this?
Okay, you're right, and I'm so glad you asked this question because it's a really difficult one. Because 1, you feel like you're going crazy. 2, you don't want people to know or think you're crazy. I was put in a situation like that when a local girl had passed through an accident, and the girl kept coming through to me to get through to her sister. And I felt like I can't approach her sister. There's no way I could do this. So I asked Spirit what I would do was hand it over, and I asked them to find a better medium or someone better that can do it. And then I was out one day and I actually bumped into her sister, another sister. And I went, oh crap, I am the messenger. So I passed the message forward, and it ended up that the lady who was supposed to receive the message wasn't in the space to receive it. So she sent her sister. So I trust that spirit will find a way. And like you said, you release it, hand it over. And if it's meant to be delivered, it will be delivered. And I just trust that completely. I really do. But it is scary. It's very scary approaching people and things like that. But if you hand it over, then it's gone.
It's beautiful. And also, I think that if you don't have the confirmation at the beginning, maybe you start doubting about your mediumship. So how do you feel about it, Sierra?
I think that, yeah, I don't know. It's going to sound ridiculous because the ladies laugh at me all the time about this because I don't doubt my mediumship. I just don't. I think because I've been receiving stuff since I was a kid. And then as I got into development, I was like, oh, it was great to have the validation through development that this is all legitimately not mine. So I don't doubt what comes through from spirit. Although the validation is wonderful. Like when you're with somebody and you're like, hey, this is happening. Does this make sense? And they're like, yes. You're like, oh, great, thanks. But then also if I'm in a reading and somebody's like, that makes no sense. I'm like, well, I know it's from spirit, and I just move on. And then eventually they email back and say, oh, you're right. I totally talked to my dad and blah, blah, blah. Right. So I think it's just a real trust in, no, I just trust it because it's been so prevalent for so long, I think. So I might not be the right person to ask that question. Sorry, Sabina.
No, but it's beautiful because it's another angle of the situation. So I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love it. Thanks for sharing.
I have also not ever had spirit just give me messages for other people outside in the world that I've had to try to find.
Okay.
So that's another thing that I've never, that is a boundary that I set a very long time ago that I that is not what I want to receive. So yeah.
That's good. That's a good tip also. Nicole, how did you find this this kind of thing when it happens, if it happens?
Yeah, so what's interesting is I was going to speak about boundaries as well. And so like at the beginning, it was more just like me trying to figure out like, what is this, and that led me to development. But I would say it's more like, I would almost just say recently, where as my mediumship grows, and especially I just was out of town this last weekend, and whenever I'm in a new location, in my dreams, I oftentimes will pick up on like, the spirit was trying to show me that they were like a missing person and giving me a name. And then there was like an animal and all this stuff where I woke up and I'm like, okay, wow, that's very vivid. But I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? So I just have to trust, like people are saying, that, the right person will find me, because oftentimes too I'll have a sort of a precog spirit, or like a spirit that will come early in a dream, or like before group or something like that, and I just have to sort of note it. I will write it down sometimes just to kind of like get it out of my system and clear my energy, and then usually within like a couple of days, someone who is having a reading, one of the people in spirit is that spirit. So it's almost like they came early. So there's that aspect of it too. But I just sort of trust that the right person will be drawn to it, because there is that boundary aspect. Not everyone is ready for an impromptu message or in the right headspace, or they have a certain religious, thing. So I just don't want to put myself in that fire. So I just trust that whoever will be drawn to a medium, whether it be me or somebody else at the right time. Does that make sense?
Totally. Thanks, Nicole. And Mariana, have you had anyone like denying the message? Like, I don't want to hear about this. I don't want to talk about this. It's not for me. It's not the right time. How do you manage this?
Yeah, I had that once from actually somebody I was working with, like a coach, but not like a mediumship mentor, and she just couldn't receive it. And she told me out loud, like, I know who this person is. I do not want to hear about this person right now. And you honor that. I mean, as simple as that. And I mean, I know we might talk about ethics and stuff, but it's a relationship, right? You are the tool, the vehicle that delivers the message, but there's two people. I feel like you're like the mediator here. So if the person is not ready, it's not ready. And I feel very strong about that. I feel like I just said to Spirit, she's not ready. So thank you. And with that, just confidence, like I would do with any two people in real life. Like she's just not ready to deal with you. That's all. And I would actually acknowledge to the person, because sometimes people feel bad about not wanting to receive things. And I would say you are on your right to not want that. And when the time is right, it might happen. And if it's never right, it's okay. It's up to you. It's your own process. But I was gonna, with your question, and I agree with everybody. When in the beginning, in my teenager years, and I would receive a lot of images, and I would know, mostly when I was sitting with somebody in a coffee shop, I have this vivid image of a friend, and her ex-boyfriend just passed away, and I would see so much and I would feel so much, but I am, I don't know, 17, and I don't talk to anybody about these things. So it's just like, I don't even know what's happening to me. When am I getting all this stuff? But it would be so strong. I would go to the bathroom and say, please leave. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, why are you just like, what is this? But it was so strong that I attempted to share with this friend of mine. I was like, I want to share this with you, and if it doesn't sound good, and if something that you don't want to hear, I'm just gonna share it. Like, and if you want to stop me, just stop me. It sounds crazy what I'm gonna say. I would start like always, this is gonna sound crazy. And then she was open to it. So I went ahead, and she was crying because I was giving so many details about so many things for her. So I feel like they are like anything, there has to be consent, and I knew this person well enough to say, can I share this message? But when this randomly happened, it doesn't randomly happen to me anymore because, yeah, I say no, spirit, no. But
Right.
anyways,
So what I'm listening to, and it's beautiful, it's just to trust the spirit, because it will find a way. If it has to be, it's gotta be. It's going to accommodate itself in the most harmonious and beautiful way that it could be. So maybe at the beginning, just being trustful of ourselves and of spirit, and being an open channel to receive the correct way of giving the message. And if it's not received, just trust that, respect the boundaries of the person. And so I thank you very much for these answers. It really like brings a lot of angles for my question. Thanks a lot. So Mariana.
I am next. Okay. So ladies, let me reread this. How has our mediumship changed? And I mean, as we developed, which are the things that we used to have to do, like our rituals, or we believe we had to do all these little steps in order to connect, or yeah, like what are the things that you have changed, or that you actually went like, maybe I never needed it, or maybe I don't need it now. And I would love to start with Nicole. What are your thoughts?
Okay. Oh my goodness. I feel like I have so many. So I'll just sort of throw down some of them. At the beginning, I had so many things I needed to do. I had my little rituals of clearing all the energy, and some of them I still do just because I like to clear energy, but like clearing the energy. What kind of food am I going to eat before? Am I going to eat? Am I in the right exact place that I need to be in? Almost to the point where it would get a little obsessive, at times, and then stacking information. Oh my gosh, I need to like meditate for, 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna like tune in before. And all of it came down to really like, I'm not trusting. I'm not trusting that spirit's just gonna be there. I'm kind of like overly in my head. And then two, I would have that list mentality. Well, no soul wants to be just drilled with questions in a certain order. If you think about it, like you're having coffee with someone, they just happen to be in spirit, not in the physical. You don't want to just be like, hi, what's your name? Where do you live? How did you pass? What did you do for a living? So
Mhm.
mental, right? So even though this is mental mediumship that we practice mostly, it's really from the heart. And as soon as through my progression, and through my guides, sharing with me to, drop into my heart more, it became, I let go, almost like training wheels of some of those things. Let go. Put yourself in spontaneous places. See if spirit's still there. If you can read when you just ate lunch. Can you read when you, are high, hey, I had to have so much coffee, that type of thing. So I feel like it came down to being braver and experimenting, if that makes sense. So
Yes,
most
totally.
fluid, what feels best. I don't know.
Yes. Like in the beginning we needed, and then let's go with Paige. I feel like I can choose Paige.
Isn't it fun? It's fun to listen to everyone. Yeah, in the beginning, I was really, I think, like Nicole said, I was a little obsessive about things that I did. I would drum for 30 minutes, and then I would sit in my own power, and I was not eating because if I ate, I would be too grounded. Um, I would, oh gosh. Yeah, I would stress out that I wasn't, you know what I mean? Like when the actual sitting, like working with someone or reading for someone, I would be, I mean, I still stress sweat a little bit, but I was like, oh my God, like my hands would, I mean, there was a lot of physical things happening to me. Um, like I'd have to go to the bathroom 5 times, not number 2, but number 1. Just to be clear, I don't um maybe that's too much
I
information.
love you. No, it's perfect.
But yeah, I would actually starve myself, which is so crazy. And it's not
Mm,
that I didn't eat, but I would eat afterwards. And then I was like, oh, I can't, and the food thing is a whole thing that we could talk about. But
mhm,
um eating healthier food definitely made me feel better in the readings. Like I noticed that I was like, oh, I really have to do self-care in order to feel positive. But I remember a time where I got in to be honest, I got in an argument with my husband the morning I had 3 readings, and um it wasn't just like a mediumship reading, but it was a medical reading. 3 medical readings in a row. So I had like a whole day of it. And we got in a fight, and it like blew me out of my happy zone, right? And so I was like, oh my God, I'm crying. I'm like, how am I going to do this? And this was like, this was like
mhm,
years ago. And I'm like, how am I going to do this?
mhm,
And I was so upset that I was like, oh, it's going to ruin my day. But then I got myself together and I was like, I'm fine. I did a little sit in the power and I was fine. And the readings were fine. And it was like, wow. But I think experience teaches you what
mhm.
you can actually go through, and you can do a reading just like that. Now I'm like, just like that. No, it's okay. But there was all these things that I had in my brain. And I think it was some from teachers that have talked, like I was training with teachers and they'd be like, oh, I don't eat, I can't eat until afterwards and blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to try that. So then I was like on this path, right? So I would just say that there is a lot of things that I got rid of. I still do love to sit in the power and meditate now, but I don't do it for very long, and I don't do it that often as much as I used to. And I
Yeah.
don't drum, even though drumming is beautiful. Um,
Yeah, and before I give the mic to somebody else, a thought that came through is we are so committed to our development and we're so committed to what we are doing and we're learning. So we are trying our best to be clean and clear and ready. And then we start discovering that we don't need certain things, right? Maybe we need less of this. Maybe this works for us. Maybe this doesn't. And it's just experience. I don't think there's anything wrong if you are developing and you still do these things. I just feel like sometimes we put some rules and that limits the flow and honoring that is just so available sometimes to us. So, Shaban, your turn.
You. Paige, I'm so glad you brought up about the argument with the husband because that has happened. And I think it's a lot of people, even through teaching, they have this thing where you have to be Zen and you have to be, whatever level. And I used to believe that. And even the thing with the food, I used to believe that too. And the not to eat meat. Is if spirit's going to go, well, she had a steak today, I'm not going to her. But it's crazy the things we believe. So the structures I have kept in place is prayer. I always say a prayer before I do my reading, and I light an angel candle, not for angels, but for me to say a blessing for the person I'm reading for. That's kind of what I've kept in place. And definitely when I feel I need it, I would do a chakra clearing, but not before my reading. Like I used to do them before nearly every reading, so you'd be like going all the time. So it's only when I feel ungrounded and a little out sync. So yeah, prayer is definitely one I would keep in place.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
love that. Um, I'm gonna turn it to Sabina, but at 2 minutes. Sorry, we're keeping timer here. You'll see this, so why am I pretending? So Sabina, I know because you're like a channeler. I know this. So does it have to do with maybe we have adapted ourselves to this energy so that we need less things? Maybe we don't need you know, we don't need these things because we actually are more accustomed to the energy and receiving it. And, you know, would that be, Sabina, you
Yeah,
want to speak a
yeah,
little bit about
because
that?
we recognize it in ourselves and we recognize the place that we are in. And for me, it was like safety procedures, like protection. I don't need to make the space so safe because I feel I am safe while I'm channeling or while I'm doing mediumship because I trust myself. And I think this is kind of like motherhood, like when you start being a mother and everyone gives you advices and you try to go after that advices and it just sucks. So it's just like knowing how do you do mediumship. What does the space feel like? How does it feel to sit in power? So I think that it starts developing. The more you use it, the more you practice it, the more you get used to this energy and feel like it's like it flows naturally and it doesn't have to get all these details and all this like order of things. It's just like it goes naturally through you because you can trust the moment that you're in.
Thank you, Sabi. I know I'm going to wrap up, but Sierra, I want to hear you because I haven't heard you. So maybe you can wrap it up and pass it on.
Okay, I'll wrap it up. No, I'm gonna stop right there because my mind is going somewhere else. So we are the rituals were really interesting because they're like this little package that you believe is a gift from your mentor. And you're like, oh, this is so nice. I get to do all the things that they do, and this is what you have to do to like prepare, which is wonderful at the beginning because it does give you a system to lean into your own power, which is a great thing. But I used to do everything. Like I would Palo Santo the house, I'd cleanse myself, I'd light the candle, I'd dance around to high vibe music. Then I would like make sure I had a glass of water so that I had lots of water in my body so I could expand more and receive more energy. Like it was crazy when you think about it. I would eat. Food was never a thing that I actually considered in that way, but I always made sure that I ate like an apple after or like some sort of grounding food. And another thing that I like to do was, if there was time, was to go outside and put my feet on the earth. So that I still do really like to do. I like to go out and ground down because we become so expansive. So I really ditched majority of that. And I do light a candle though. I light a candle and I call it nothing but pure divine love, light, and joy to be with me. It's like a little mini prayer, much like Siobhan, I'm sure, where it's just like, you know what? I know that I'm fully protected, nothing but pure divine love, light, joy. And then I move right into the reading. And without fail, spirit is always there. They always come through. And yeah, like I think, yeah, there's lots of stuff we can do, but not
Yeah, so
necessarily.
it becomes simpler. So just to wrap it up, it becomes simpler. It becomes your unique little things that you resonate with you. And it's also about trust and believing that spirit is there. Like it's really that. All the little things that we get in the beginning is because we're trying to believe that it's going to show up.
Looking for
Um,
validation. Yeah.
yeah, so that's it. That was my question. Siobhan, your question. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you very much. Okay, so my question is kind of like the pros and the cons of working with many different mentors and different styles of teaching. Like, when is enough? So, from my own experience starting out, I never thought I was good enough. I never had the confidence. I never believed in myself. So, I always put the power outside of myself and believed in other people had the answers, which this is why I brought up the question, because we forget it's us, that it's inside. So, the pros was I got to meet fantastic people. And the kind of what against it was like I had other people in my head all the time of how they would do it, would they do it right? And I just started not to enjoy the experience. So, Nicole, I'd like to ask you, what would be your feelings on this question?
So, what I brought up before, I wanted to lead with when we were just chatting earlier, just, that whole saying about first you're a natural medium, then you become unnatural, and then you go, the goal is to go back to natural, but with hopefully some tools in your tool belt that you can use the way that you want to, maybe. And I am an artist, also, so like Sierra, and possibly a lot of you guys at Page, other people are creative too. So I also feel like it's a little bit like that. You go to like art school, here's how you should do this technique, but is it you, when you go back to, and okay, now I'm going to make my own series of things or whatnot, it is, and you can hear the self-critic in your mind while you're trying to flow at the same time and really sort of letting all of that go. So I definitely went through different circles and exposed myself to different types of mediumship. I suppose the biggest hurdle for me was that, well, first I was stuck in a lot of like, is this real? Even though I was getting evidence, I would be like, is this psychic or mediumship? I was also having a little inner battle at the same time, which I had to go through, but also just that like list thing where, somewhere along the beginning, I had that list in my mind. And when I would follow this sort of list asking spirit in this way, if I didn't receive information from a certain question I asked, I didn't know how to navigate out of that. So in turn, it would block me. And then I would panic. And then it would be like, oh, that's the end of that, sort of. So I think once I let go of that and just experimented of how can I have a more natural conversation, and again, going back to natural from sort of unnatural, that's, when it began to help me. But yeah, there is a lot of, I think it's, self-trust is probably the biggest component of being a medium. It's a hardcore that way, and it sort of forces you to engage in a way that's like almost blinding self-trust. I used to say that it feels like I'm gonna jump off a cliff every single time I do a reading. It still feels that way a teeny bit, it's just like, okay, here I go, blindfold on, So I think that you have to trust yourself above, going back to what you said, above anything that anyone has ever taught you. So it should be more like their tools in your tool bag rather than direct orders you should follow.
Mhm. Absolutely. Thank you, Nicole. Because it's about, because you believe everyone else has the answers. And they learned it the same way we're learning it. So it's kind of it's a good thing to do that. And also when people ask about going deeper, and I'm going to go to Sabina with this, when people ask about, oh, I want to go deeper in my mediumship and I want deeper things, I don't think they're understanding that they have to go deep emotionally. You have to feel your own stuff. You can't skip it. So Sabina, how would you talk about that?
Yeah, for me, it's been all self-taught. I haven't been on a mediumship kind of mentorship or anything. It's just been all self-taught through mediumship and through channeling. And so I really trust myself in that way. Like if I don't make room for the channel to be what it needs to be, it doesn't get there. It doesn't get as deep as I would like to go. But it needs my sacrifice of my emotionality, of my own comfort zone to open up to the channel as it comes. So for me, it's been like going through the dark night of the soul continuously for the last, I don't know, 6 years, like trying to get rid of the things that can make this noise between the channel and my way of transmitting it. So yes, for me, it's been an emotional roller coaster and a very deep journey within myself to trust what I need to be, what the channel needs from me, and also adapting my body to it. Because maybe sometimes for my channel, I need to do more breath work. And maybe for that other energy to come through, I need to rest more. And for the other one, I need to pray before. So every energy asks of something for me, but definitely you need emotional clarity and space to discern what's yours and what's not, and not to get mixed in the transmitting of the energy. So thanks, Shabana. Beautiful question.
Mental cluster, mental stuff that goes on. So it's kind of everywhere. And everyone keeps talking about trust. And it's a hard thing to have when you're first starting off because you have no idea what you're doing. And this is the downfall, I guess, in a sense of, for me, if I was given advice now to start, I would just go sit with yourself. If you can sit with yourself in darkness and just sit there, you'll get, I suppose, you'll get used to that kind of sense and given that space. So Mariana, what would you feel about doing all these courses or not doing the courses or?
Well, I'm a teacher. So because I'm a teacher by trade, I'm like, I would be lying if I was like, don't take courses. Um, but it's so funny with mediumship in particular. I'm not talking about all the other courses that I take with other things because I am endless with other things. Um, I came to mediumship with a lot of meditation. Like I used to like be an avid meditator, and I recognize my energy so well. Um, so I kind of trusted that. I kind of trusted my inner voice. I feel like all these things that we learn help us to deeply listen to ourselves and through the chatter, right? Through the extra things. That doesn't mean that in like I wish I believed so much in what I'm receiving. Like that's what I'm always trying to work on. Like believe, like the cliff, like believe in it, believe in it. So I'm always going through that, expanding that. Um, but it is to me just listen to yourself. And what does that mean? Like, so who are you versus everything else? That is to me when I developed, I was like, I have a say from my voice and what I receive. I know that's not me, but now I have a say, which came with boundaries. Like a big thing that I learned that is worth for me to share with everybody, like learn, 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 like to have boundaries. That's the thing I did not have. And at the same time, practice is important. And maybe that's not even courses, right? Like I feel like practice is experience. You cannot skip it. You're gonna go through the death, right or no? Is this me? Is this not me? Is this dictionary thing that everybody tells me to do for me? No, it's not really for me. Uh, Female, like all these, like, is it right, left? Like, I don't know. It is an experience. Like courses will teach you, but not as practice, I feel. That's
Thank you so much. So it is down to, I do believe courses are good. Obviously, they're needed. And to know, what's that saying? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So it's kind of stuff like that to go with that. So they have helped me, definitely, but I've also had to know when to step away and when just to learn to allow to tap into spirit on my own without searching for messages and just connect in that way so I can hear, sense, and know. And now I'm not so much in a hurry to kind of get all the stuff right. I just, whatever way the reading's going to be, I have no idea. So it's just to let it be. So thank you so much. So Paige, I think your turn.
Thank you. I love this question because we talk about classes a lot as mediums, like, oh, you want to take a class, or, people are always, or offering classes. So we're always talking about how to teach, how to take classes. In the beginning, I did a lot of different teachers because I was wanting to learn different techniques from different people, seeing what their opinions are, really for their spiritual philosophy. I really like listening to teachers talk about their spiritual practice in that kind of depth. I kind of chose myself like I feel like a science project. I journaled and wrote down different things to kind of learn, which clairs are working for me, that kind of thing. But the teachers really allowed me to push out of my comfort zone. And that's the thing, because I was nervous about doing it. I still have, you still get the butterflies, like you said, every time you're jumping off a cliff. So you don't know what's going to happen when you do a reading. You really don't know. Every reading is different. Every client is different. Every experience is different. The spirit is different as well. And so it's really like going into the unknown. The teachers helped me get readings faster, like get to the information faster. There were some that I took that were spiritualist type mediums that were trained, name, age, and serial number, basically like who are they, how old are they, how they die. Okay, well, I've done that. I personally don't resonate with that kind of reading because I don't like to talk about the death portion as much, unless it has to do with the person that I'm reading for, that maybe they took care of them or that kind of thing. But like focusing on a death is just not my thing. And so I think we only have like an hour or less sometimes with someone, and I really want to talk about messages or how they see them or all those things. And so I think teachers give us tools, we test them out in classes, we see what works, what doesn't. Like Nicole said, we kind of start off being intuitive already, having that natural way of being, because this is a natural way of being. And then we go through these different, systems of learning, different kind of techniques. We try them, kind of work through them. And then we get to a point where we're like so comfortable in our own way of doing it that it might not fit into their box. And so I've taken classes where, even as I got comfortable, and then I'm like, it's so hard to go back in that box to do like one specific thing that we're trying to get. It makes it feel unnatural to do it then that way. And so I've gotten to the point that practice is basically what I continue to try to do, because practicing or even just doing readings over a lot, like more often is what I need, because I do work, like I think Nicole was saying too, like my psychic and mediumship is kind of a hand in hand kind of situation. And I don't really care anymore to figure it out. And I know that's probably not kosher, right? Because it's not, but like at this point, I'm like, because people want to know everything, honestly. So I feel like it's just like, this is the way I'm supposed to be. This is the way I am. And that way I don't have to fit in a box. I still do like taking classes here and there, but it's more about the community that I build, or like networking, meeting other people, and really just the practice. But like, I really do my things my own way. I hope that.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm glad now. It took me a while to get there, but.
That's brilliant. So Paige, the question is up for you now. I think you're next.
Okay. We'll do one more question, and then we'll do one more question today because it's a long episode. So my question is about ethics, because, as mediums and psychics, healers, Reiki practitioners, we all, we kind of do a mix of things here. I've witnessed other mediums really quite offensive. They were quite offensive to me, either in practice circle, watching them work, or etc. And there's a lot of classes out there, a lot of mediums that work, and we practice a lot. It's kind of a smaller, you kind of, if you're taking classes from certain people, you kind of see the same kind of people all the time. And I got to a point where I was in a class with someone, and she would she would tell you that you were wrong, like when you said, no, that doesn't resonate with me, or or she would just be like, that's wrong, you don't know, write it down, for you'll get it later, I know what I'm getting. And she was really actually a great medium, but her bedside manner was horrible. And it's just like a doctor. If you go to a doctor or any kind of person that you want to work with, if you don't have if you're not nice, no one's going to want to work with you. If you're not caring or compassionate, they're not going to hire you back. And you get kind of a bad reputation. And this person has a bad reputation now in kind of our circle. But it's like, who does that? When we go into we're vulnerable, we're open, we are wide open when we're doing this work. And when we're practicing, we're even more vulnerable. I don't know why, but for me, I feel even more so, because I'm trying things, practicing, pushing my envelope, really working on how I pick up things. And if someone is rude and offensive, it's like, it feels to me like someone's stabbing you right in the heart. It actually feels like someone's punching you or smacking you, and it's jarring. And so I was curious. I really feel like this work is sacred to me, and I know all of you are in the same kind of boat. But how have you witnessed the ethics? What are your beliefs on it? Because I feel like kindness and open-heartedness and just we're sharing soul to soul, really, and you need to be kind to people. And so I'm just curious, you know, what everyone's thoughts are on that issue. I'm going to start with Mariana. What are your thoughts?
Oh my God, I knew it. I knew it. It is so funny because I'm going to tie it with what Siobhan was saying a little bit and her question. From the side of a mentor or a teacher or all of that, when you know the person is still there, what are your ethics in regards to this person is ready to fly and is still taking courses, is still doing this, and is still, I mean, I'm not a mediumship teacher, but let's say like in mentorship, one-on-one with people. I had my own mentor once call me out on that. You're ready. You don't need me. You know, I was like, what do you mean that you're ready? So that's one part of like the ethics of things, like having in this type of work that we do, you know, inviting people to do the best they can, and having the ability to know, well, this feels good to say to somebody or learn from me or do this. But same in a reading, right? I can tell you so many things, but it's up to the sitter, to the person that receives, what to do with that. We have no power over that, which takes me to psychic readings and mediumship readings, and when people come to us and are looking for some answers and how we handle that. And I in general, like, we cannot give answers to people and tell you what to do. We can kind of read what's happening through your energy, but we have that's my ethic. Like, if I see that somebody is really wanting to, for me to like sort out their life in general, I'm like, I'm nobody. I can't do that for you. You need to walk your own path and you need to do what you need to do, right? Like, I can just say, hey, I see this, I hear this, but I cannot help you work it out. That's your own journey when it comes to readings. And the last part of how we're together in a community, this is how we're together in a community. We take turns, we respect what the other thinks and says, and it's about communication to me a lot, and not trying to impose our beliefs, because maybe the six of us right here, we're not going to agree in everything. I mean, I'm sure, but it's how we like spirit, like, it's so inclusive in the variety of expression, and how can we handle that? I don't know if I'm making any sense, but that's what I have, ladies.
I think that's beautiful. I think that's beautiful. Yeah, we are expressing, right? And then we are receiving. And spirit is a soul being as well. There's all this respect that needs to go on. And I'm curious, Sabina, how that works for you too, because you do a little bit of a different type of mediumship style channeling, that ethics that you have there.
Yeah, for me, it's been like a journey, because the personalities of energy that comes through, maybe it's Pleiadian or it's reptilian or it's some other kind of galactic consciousness race, extra dimensional, and they have these quirks on their personalities, and sometimes they are not so like, they don't know the human protocol that much, so they can bend a little bit like these rules of how communicating with. And so it's just like, sometimes I have to say before, like, okay, this teacher that I'm channeling, it needs these things to know. It needs for you to do the questions, for you to answer when he asks, like putting kind of a introduction to that energy, because they can have these different personalities. So it's I'm always conscious of the sitter's energy, and if he's or she or they are able to receive what I'm channeling through, and maybe I can like cushion it a little bit, so it doesn't go as not rude, but as strong as they can come through. So I think that being always listening to the sitter's energy as much as the spirit No, it's like the same 50-50. What is this person able to handle? How can I tell this to this person without hurting their feelings or giving them a sense of hopefulness that it's maybe not right for the time? So you have to be like in the middle, no? Reading these two energies and being the center of them, so they do not tilt one way or the other. So I think that's the thing for me, always being able to speak what's coming through and check what the other person needs or is able to receive.
Beautiful. And Siobhan, what are your thoughts on that, on ethics and anything you want to share?
There's a few, because one, you have the personal, which Mariana was talking about, which I totally agree. And I always say that in my readings. I am not here to take your power. I'm here to remind you of it. So it's kind of like you give the reading so they can walk out and make a clear decision on what they're given. But I would never, ever tell a person to stay in a relationship or to get out of a relationship. I would give it as it is. And most of the time, people come for a reading, they already know all those answers. You are just giving back what they know. Ethics as a teacher, and what you were talking about at the start, when you go into groups, you do need to be in a space where that you can feel safe to open up. And I think it's very important to have trust in your mentor or the facilitator or the teacher, that they can create that space, that it's not your job to worry about. I've seen a lot of teachers over time and been to a lot of classes where they're just really bad. They're not tuned into what's going on in the room. They're rattling off things and doing things, but it's uncomfortable and people are closing down. So there's ethics I think as a teacher teaching, if you're holding space and open up space for people to allow to do that, you have to have rules. You have to have certain ethics in place to protect yourself, but protect the people opening up. And on personal readings, definitely you have to have ethics. Like, I've seen people telling people when they're going to die, or when people around them are going to die, or stuff like that. I've seen this in demonstrations. So there has to be a cutoff point and a common sense kind of point. But I think it's good to remember, just because we're mediums and we work heart-centered, not everyone does. So it's like to not have this illusion of just because people do spirit work that they're actually working through heart center. A lot of it is egotistic still. So it's like, I heard a saying before, Mavis Patilla used it. Someone asked her, if someone's really a bad person, like, and how come they're able to give messages and, do all this work? And she said, spirit doesn't care if the envelope is dirty. They just care about getting the message across. And I just thought that was powerful, and it taught me to mind my business. So,
Wow, that's actually perfect. Yeah, that's definitely perfect. Sierra, do you have anything to share?
Ethics wise, I think that, when I think of ethics, the first thing is like doing blind readings for people. Like, that to me is like such a big ethic thing. Like, I can't do the shows where the mediums approach people in the street and be like, oh, hey, I've got your dead grandmother. Like, I'm like, that is the worst thing, to chuck somebody into a world of grief and like horror. I'm like, how can you do that to somebody? It's awful. I think obviously, like Mariana mentioned earlier, like if you have a friend and something's coming through, you can very gently mention, are you comfortable receiving this? Like, really be mindful that that person, it is not about you and spirit. It is about that other human soul that is on this earth walking this life, that maybe they're not ready for it, or it could crack them wide open, and then you leave them standing there and you have no idea what's going to happen to them after that. So be really mindful ethically. Like, that's the one thing that jumps in, is just be really gentle and kind with how you're delivering and who you're delivering to. Like, don't just go out in a grocery store and be like, I have the spirit following me around, like da 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 da. Like, just please don't do that to people. It just kills me. Yeah. There you go. There's my ethics
Yeah,
spew.
perfect. We talk about that all the time.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
do you have anything that you want to share about ethics or a story or anything? And then we're gonna wrap. Yeah, we'll wrap
Did
up.
you say me, Nicole? I didn't hear. Okay. Yeah, just everything everyone said. And then I have on my website, do no harm. So I follow just the do no harm ethics, and as best I can, we're not perfect humans, but our intention is to not, you know, harm the person that we're here to try and help. And I'm also a teacher, so in my classes, there's absolutely no room for anyone who is going to be like, you know, ego driven or do something funny. You know, that's not, there's no room for that. I did want to say something though too. It's just like, you know, some of these lessons page, like when you have, you know, another medium who's, or whoever, you know, who is kind of being like that, it does kind of set you up for real life though, because sometimes it's the client. It's not, here we are trying to be the most perfect, trying to be the most helpful, trying to be the most gracious and offering of our services. But I have learned that there's been people where I've shut down the reading. There's been people who I have made me cry. There have been, you know, all sorts of, I mean, not that many anymore at all, but I would say more so at the beginning because I feel like you're kind of getting tested. But, you know, and I have my rules in line. Like if you know, it's all on my website. If you're threatening, if you are this, if you're that, I have no problem shutting down the reading and I will not refund you. You also need to be respectful. This is a respectful, do no harm situation. So I think sometimes as mediums, we get so concerned about ourselves and making sure that we are ethically sound, but also, you know, I don't need your money. I want clients who want to be in a sacred space. Yes, I need money for energy like exchange because I also need to eat, but like I don't want your money to be treated like crap, you know? So I think the whole ethics, it goes more than just like mediums, you know, and mediums to each other. It also goes a three-way kind of like, and discerning what spirit's telling you and that. And then also like, you know, obviously not like if your client's just a little thing, but drastic things, you know? So just wanted to throw that in there.
think that's perfect. I know that I send whenever I do a mediumship and or any kind of reading, to be quite honest, I send kind of like a prep sheet for my client, like, you know, maybe don't do alcohol and drugs 24 hours before you come visit me. Um, you know, drink a lot of water, try to get good night's sleep, you know, call in your loved ones if it's a mediumship reading, bring items to the reading, sleep with a, you know, pick out pictures and that kind of thing.
Don't surprise other people.
Right.
Surprise, you're coming to see a medium.
Right. Right.
I've had so many of those. And now I'm like, no.
Right. So you want to have you want to give them tools so they feel empowered to be in the same kind of, so I kind of invite them to kind of create a sacred space. So yeah, and they have to want to, right? They have to want to be part of it. So for it to work. So yeah, thank you for this conversation. We are going to wrap up today. I'm going to put everyone's stuff in the notes so everyone can you know, you can work with any of these people, find them, learn more about them, follow them on their socials, and we will be back with another conversation real soon. Thank you, everyone.